Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unbreakable Gamers. It's a me, Rabbit. How you going? Oops. Let's not traumatize kids. Got to put them in before we started. Hello, everybody, anyway. Hope you're all well. Oops. Didn't realise I still had that going. Let's close that program. Okay, so yeah. As you can probably tell by the thumbnail and the title, today, new parts for the 3D printer. Yeah, I'm still working on the Sprite Pro video. I have a ton of footage of the install and the nightmare I went through getting that thing working to get through and edit and stuff like that. But the review is coming. And we'll do the same here. We'll do the unboxing now. And then we will go and move on to doing the review, hopefully, and showing, if any, the improvements and benefits that come from this upgrade that I'm going to do using this Manta E3EZ board and stuff. So, yeah, there's actually two parts to this. The first is, just one moment, let me bring up the old Edge browser there. Okay, so this is what we're going to be looking at. Big Tree Tech Manta E3EZ version 1.0 for Ender 3. Yes, I love buying things that have very long names, it seems. And as you can see, currently, to get the kit that I got, which includes the CB1, which is like a Raspberry Pi knockoff, the Manta E3EZ, and 5 drivers. If you're not sure what drivers are, I will explain that as we go. But basically, yeah, the chips you plug into the board to drive the motors on the printer. Also included is, and this was done as a separate order, I also got the Big Tree Tech TFT35 SP1 V2.1 touchscreen for CB1. Again, they love these long names, don't they? But this one, I ordered it through ByQ, the company that has the Big Tree Tech line, and but I ordered it through AliExpress on their official store page because it was a couple of bucks cheaper than this one, and I like a bargain. And yeah, even though I ordered it afterwards, the AliExpress the string from AliExpress came before the main board did. So that's what we're looking at. So what this is, yeah, there's the box. Oops. I always forget that, you know, it has my name and address on this sort of stuff. So hopefully I have not shown. Hopefully that was not readable. But, yeah, I have already opened this box. So no messing around with the box cutter today. But for those who like seeing me holding dangerous implements, there you go. Got the box cutter, but, yeah. Interesting story with this. I was expecting this to be delivered Friday. No, just gone. Obviously, it's Monday today. And the tracking from Australia Post had said that it was still on its way to my area. And usually they update when it's actually at the mail sorting centre in my town. And I had no updates. And so I thought, oh, well, I'm not going to get this until today or Tuesday. When Saturday night, Gizmo had to go out, and as she went outside, she came back in and goes, do you know what this is? So, yeah, it got delivered Saturday morning, which is weird for Australia Post, and we're sitting outside all day. And if we didn't have to go anywhere, because we quite literally were otherwise would have been home all weekend, we could have sat out there all weekend, or worse, you know, porch pirates. They did send me a text in the morning, but it's weird. My phone normally vibrates when you pick it up and you have an unread text message, and it didn't vibrate, so I had no idea until Gizmo went outside. So let us get this open. Plain old packaging, that's how it came. We've got bubble wrap. Okay. Because this box is big, and yeah, I should probably show you. Okay, so that's what's in the box. The bubble wrap on top. Some black sort of suede-y feeling boxes. And I got this a couple of days earlier. This is the touch screen. So, well, I guess we'll start with that. This actually had a little rubber duck in it, which I have removed and given to Gizmo, and that was squashed flat in this one. Bikey apparently likes their little rubber ducks. So what we get in this is a thank you card that says, "Thank you for purchasing Big Tree Tech products. We are a company dedicated to developing premium 3D printer control systems with innovative technologies. If you have any feedback on our product, how it works for you, improvements, blah, 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 email us." And that's, yeah, basically it. And it's not going to show up today. As you can see, I'm not running the filters and things, so you can get a clearer view without things fading in and out of existence. So yeah, a little bit of foam on top. Packaging's fairly nice. Unnecessary though, because they give you this flash packaging when honestly, it's like once you got it open and stuff, you can stick it in the cupboard. I mean, it doesn't even tell you what's on the inside. All these boxes, as you'll see, basically all the same. So if you're going to do stuff like this, I would suggest, you know, putting a picture of what is inside on the box or the description, because all it says is for makers by makers, and that's all you get on these things. Or Big Tree Tech, your 3D printer control system expert. So yeah, we'll take a look at the touchscreen first. Yeah, that comes in a nice little anti-static bag. You get the ribbon cable that connects it to the board, and foam, and that is quite literally it. Now, I'm not going to take well, I guess I will take it out of the bag. It's not sealed, it's just loose. And this is the first time I've actually had this one out of the static bag. Oh, got a peel on it. You can see the tab there. Yeah, and that's how the screen looks. And then on the back, you've got a couple of different connections. And this one will be getting connected, wrong side, by the ribbon cable to this little connection here. I haven't really looked into what this bigger one does. No doubt you can use it with other systems, but it is quite literally just a touchscreen. And it's colour. So, yeah, if you're familiar with the Ender 3s, they have a monochrome blue, white LCD screen that's controlled via the knob. Now, the thing else that I've had to do for these is I've had to print a frame up. And as you can see, I'm getting really pro-looking results at the moment. So you might think, it's crazy, Rabbit. You finally got your printer working so good. Why would you mess with it? And we will get to that. There is a reason why I'm replacing the board despite getting good prints. This one I had to find on Thingiverse because ByQ does not give you a model for the screen. Even though it's sort of the screen's designed for this system, and this system is specifically for the Ender 3. But they do give you a model for a case. And that too also turned out really, really good. I just got this weird issue here with these lines that come up when you have holes and posts. Otherwise, everything is nice and smooth and turned out pretty good. You know, that looks almost like injection molding. You can barely see the layer lines. So, yeah. I always thought I was doing my 3D printing wrong because you always see the lines in most people's prints, but these are starting to get to the point where they're fairly smooth. And this will replace the case. It slots into the front of the printer, secured by these two holes, and it literally just replaces the Ender 3 mainboard case. And the reason why is because the Ender 3 case does not have these holes and slots here, which are very, very important with it. Okay, so touchscreen, let's get that back in the box. Find a little ribbon cable. That's my only thing, is I don't like ribbon cables like that because they are very thin and I always worry they're going to break. And let's get on to the main part of the show. I hope this is all coming through fine. Okay, so in the box we have a heatsink. This is for the CB1 unit. Got a bit of thermal tape in there too, it appears, to secure it on, and some mounting screws. There's 4 screws in there, which I'm happy with because most videos I've seen of other people with these, they only use 2 screws to hold the heatsink on. Where I actually want Yeah, nice and secure. Next up, we have this little box here, which I believe is the actual. Here we go. Here's the tiny little rubber duck. It looks like it's got a squeaker in it, but it doesn't squeak. So yeah, that you get one in everything that you order from ByQ, it seems. So that's one little duck. We've got a total of 3 because I've got one with the touchscreen, the one in here. And so what do we get in here? Okay, comes with a Wi-Fi aerial because this is the thing, and part of the reason why I'm doing this upgrade is because to put anything onto my printer, there's 2 ways I can send things to the printer. One is I copy my files to be printed to an SD card, plug that into the front of the printer. The other method is you can connect a USB cable with micro USB on one end to your printer, plug the other end into your computer, and then you can remote control your printer. But that has a lot of problems, especially if you send files to print. I always print files from an SD card because if you're sending the files from the computer to the printer and your power goes out or on the computer, or the computer shuts down, restarts, something like that, it'll screw up your print because it doesn't store the file on the printer itself, because that thing's got like 512k of memory or something small. So yeah, this kit will add both Ethernet and Wi-Fi to the printer. I'm basically going to be putting a computer into the printer, and this has a lot of more pros than cons. But it's not the only reason I'm doing this. But it will be good to be able to remote access the printer, both through my desktop or laptop, or even when I'm out of the house. So yeah, Wi-Fi cable clips onto the CB1 unit here. Now the CB1 module unit, there we go. This one's also done, but it's kind of crazy. They've got little tabs here, but they're open. So what this thing is, let's get it out and have a look, because I haven't had a look at this either. Like, I've opened up the main box, but I haven't got everything out and taken a look at it yet. So this is all as new as exciting for me as it is for you. And yeah, here we go. This here. Now this is going to bolt onto the main board. Wouldn't show you that. You've got the plugs there, and it just clips on. Now the thing is, you can actually swap this out for a Raspberry Pi 4. And this is what this is. This is basically like ByQ's version of a Raspberry Pi designed exclusively for this board. And Raspberry Pis can both be difficult to get sometimes. They're always selling out because they're quite popular, as well as they are quite pricey. Let's see if we can have a look-see here. Okay, so yeah, because as you can see here, the screen's going for $26. Like I said, it's got a flash sale on at the moment, but they always seem to be having a sale because they ordered this thing like 2 weeks ago, and the price is still the same. It was $113 for this kit, and then, well, as you can see here, $104. But once you add shipping in, it's like $113.51, and then an extra, well, in my case, $24 for the screen that normally goes for almost $40. So if you're interested in doing an upgrade, now is a good time because yeah, the prices are cheap. I don't know how long it's going to be there, but you can see it's normally an extra almost $50 for this kit. But what we're looking at is Raspberry Pi 4. Difference with this thing too is it's not as spec'd up as a Raspberry Pi. It is quite literally designed for this printer. So memory and stuff, like when you buy a Raspberry Pi, you can pick different memory amounts. But as we're doing 3D printer, it's not like we need 8 gig of RAM, so this should do the job just well. But yeah, Raspberry Pi Australia.com. Don't know who this site is. I've just done random Google. But as you can see, $84 for a 2GB Raspberry Pi, and up to $130 for a 8GB one, which is what I basically paid for this kit in total. And then if you look on here, CB1 on the BuyQ site, yeah, CB1 CM4. Is that? No, that's the board. Oops. That's another board. And you do not need okay, let's go to your results. It's not showing a result for that one. Yeah, oh yes, plus the heatsink costs about $8 too, that goes onto the CB1. Not sure if you can buy it individually from them. Control board? Because that's what CB stands for, I believe, is control board. Pi adapter. Oh, well, the way we can tell is you have all these different kits on this one. So the main board by itself is $60 currently. With the 5 drivers, it goes up to $75. So you're paying about $30 to get the CB1 with it. And in this case, it's version 2.2, so it's the latest one. You can see some pictures here about, yeah, I have to look at that. So, yeah, it's a good way to get like a Raspberry Pi type of experience with your printer, which allows you to do things like Clipper and stuff. Without spending a small fortune. So, let us get the board back in here. In the duck. Oh, excuse me. I swear it must be when I YouTube, because I can sit here all day with my teeth in. As soon as I want to do a live stream. Okay, now next is the drivers. 5 of them. Oh, wait. There's not one in there, because the way they've cut it is so close that driver number 5 keeps falling out. So, while that's out, we slot into the board. And as I said, each one can control a motor on the printer. And they've got cool little metal covering there. Like that, very metal. And a little heatsink on the back. And they seem like very well designed quality. And they kind of sort of got an SD card type thing in that. They have a notch cut in them that's designed so that you cannot put them in the wrong way. But let's get that one back in there. I've got 5 of those. And that is a reason we'll get into when I get to the actual board and show you why I want 5 drivers. Because the 4.2.2 Creality board, the original official board that's in the printer, it only comes with 4 drivers. And you're thinking, oh, well, you're printing okay, Rabbit, so why do you need a 5th driver? Yeah, we'll get to that. And finally, the pistol de resistance, the main component. Because apparently you can use this without the CB1. Because as you can see, the kit that got sold, that I bought, it has different options there. And it's sort of crazy because they don't, out of all the different options that they've got over here, they have the board by itself, the board with the drivers, the board with the CB1 module, the board with a touchscreen, the board with, I'm not sure what this CAN bus thing is, but I don't need it. So you've got the screen, the board, the drivers, the CAN bus thing. Then you've got the board with the drivers and the CB1, or you can just buy these other drivers that have switches on them. And I believe they're meant to be better, well, the heatsink. But as you will see, there is no combination there where you can buy it, because you can see touchscreen for CB1, but there is no option there to buy the kit with the touchscreen and the CB1. You either have a kit with the CB1 or a kit with the touchscreen, but not both. So whichever kit you go with, you will have to order one of those parts separately. Hence why I ended up getting it from AliExpress. As I said, just to save a couple of bucks. So here we go. Here's the main box. Again, another little rubber duck. Like I said, I've got 3 of them now. They can live with Gizmo. Okay, so to start with, we have a white bag. That looks like a whole bunch of jumpers and clips in there. Again, I haven't really had a look at this. So, there's one more thing I think I forgot. Maybe it's still in here. Another part I ordered that should be very important. Okay, so don't want to lose things. Okay, so this looks like a plug kit. So it looks like if you need to rewire things, they have given you all the pluggy sort of bits that you will need. I'm not going to drag that out right now. But I'm hoping that this won't be necessary, because the reason this board is called the E3EZ, and as you can see on their page, it's for the Ender 3. That's what the E3 in the E3EZ stands for. Ender 3 is what it's designed for. So fingers crossed, I won't need these, because I don't really feel like having to re-plug things, and it's making sure I've got the tools for it, because I don't know where I've put it. Oh, here it is. Oh, maybe we can do a double unboxing, because I also have ordered this to help with this upgrade, but we'll get to that, I guess, after we get to the board. Yep, another thank you card, same as the other one. And then we have the board itself. No wires, no cables, nothing like that, because, as I said, as far as I know, everything should just plug straight into this. So let's have a look at this. Now, none of the stuff's heat sealed, just opened, not taped. And there we go. There is the board. You see the slots up here. There's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the back, that's where all your main power and stuff plugs into, which is different because the Ender 3 boards, the power slots are down here. And so that's another reason why I want to print this new case. Because while this will go straight into an Ender 3 case, the holes on the side, you don't have holes for the USB sockets this adds, the Ethernet plug it adds. Also, this is where the touchscreen plugs in. And right next to it is actually a HDMI mini cable. So I can also plug a monitor. I don't know where it is, but I have bought a HDMI mini to HDMI adapter. And so when I get this set up, I'll probably take one of my computer monitors here and plug it into this so I can see what I'm doing with it. Because, yeah, the little touch screen, I won't be doing setting it up with that. But yeah, it's a nice looking board. It feels and looks quality. All nice black PCB. I mean, that looks pretty good. It doesn't look or feel cheap, even though it is relatively cheap. If only the West could cut corners like this, but I guess, you know, China, they've got their methods. The other thing too is also, it has an SD card slot on the front and a USB socket on the front there. Here, USB here, SD there. And that is for like a regular Ender 3, but you also have an SD card slot here on the side also. But I believe that's more so for installing the firmware to the board. Where normally you plug your SD card in the front on an Ender 3 board and boot it up with the firmware on it, and it installs it. Yeah, some sort of socket plug up the top here, but I'm not sure what that is. And then you can see this here is where the area where the CB1 module plugs in on top. But you don't apparently need the CB1 module to use this. It'll drop in and replace it. And then, yeah, we plug the drivers in, because how this works and why I wanted this board, yeah, make sure we're going the right way, is because how you got the 5 drivers here, right? You got these plugs up here. You plug your XYZ stepper motors in there, then an extruder, and then you have 2 more sockets. Now, even though you got 6 sockets but 5 drivers, I'm not going to use the 6 sockets because I believe 2 of those sockets are connected and are basically split. It's called parallel. So when you plug it in, and this is the problem with the Ender 3, is I've got a dual Z kit, so I've got the 2 Z-axis motors that drive the gantry up and down, but they have a splitter cable, so they plugged into the one socket and then they split up, and then that signal and voltages and things that it's putting through are shared between the 2 motors. With this, each motor will be individually driven. Now, the reasons for doing this are because no matter how good you calibrate and tweak it, even if the motor's running off the same source, eventually they get out of sync, the gantry. And when you're printing, you want that gantry level at all times. But over time, for various reasons, it can go out of whack a little bit. And even if it's off by a millimetre, it can cause problems, or even a fraction of a millimetre, it can cause problems with your printing. That's why I've been putting so much effort into this, because I have had that problem myself, where everything looks level, but it's just off slightly, and it screws your prints. Now, what this will do is this will enable me to use a code in Marlin, or well, in this case, Clipper, because that's another reason I'm putting this in, but we'll get to that. We'll stick to the dual Z axis. Is with the independent drives, you can run. I've got a probe on the bed. You may have seen it. It's the thing that lights up purple, and it's got a probe on it. And the gantry comes down. The probe touches the bed, and then the hot end on the carriage will move all around with that probe and plot out a grid. And then the printer remembers those points, and it gives an idea of how flat or unflat your bed is. And then the printer can compensate for any dips or rises to make sure that everything stays nice and level when you're printing. However, with the dual Z setup I'm talking about, it doesn't compensate for it compensates for the bed not being 100% level, because you get buckles, bows. Doesn't matter if it looks perfectly flat to your naked eye. The gantry can go out of sync, and the probe will not counter for that. It'll go, oh wait, it'll sort of say the bed's like this when it's not. It's the gantry that's off, sort of thing, with the way it probes. With the dual Z independent controls, when you auto level the bed, not only does it probe all the points across the bed in a grid, it'll also probe left and right, and each time it can independently adjust the motor. So if it detects that your gantry's off slightly, it will compensate and get your gantry straight. So, as I said, I'm getting what I would consider pretty damn prints at the moment. Basically, ignore that the surface looks a bit rough, but that's mostly because of the surface of my bed, as well as I've had to use a glue stick to stick this down because I was getting a problem with warping on the corners and stuff. But yeah, hopefully this new independent dual Z things will be the final thing that gets rid of any remaining problems that I have. And the big one is, and it's not showing up on this because this is, I rarely have problems with this black PLA. It's one of the best filaments I have to print in. But other ones, especially metallic ones, you'll notice this thing called zebra striping, where you get diagonal lines running across the surface of vertical surfaces, like going up and down. But yeah, we get the angles coming across here. It's called zebra striping, and there's no way to fix that except for screwing around with voltages on the board, because they have the little pot switches near each driver on the original board. You've got to sit there with a little screwdriver, but you also need a multimeter, and you've got to measure the voltages, and you've got to and it's a lot of screwing around. This, hopefully, having a computer interface, essentially, should hopefully help me eliminate that problem without having to mess around with multimeters and pots and things like that. there's also, the software called Clipper, which is basically adding an operating system, you might as well say, to my printer, which will also allow me, because thanks to these USB sockets and things, I will be able to add webcams. I could even plug a keyboard and a mouse in if I wanted to. I've actually had the thought, can I run Doom on a 3D printer? Because, yeah. But these are the same, like the holes and everything for the screws are essentially the same as the original board, so that's why you can use the original case if you wanted to. But one of the problems I've seen is the SD card reader here can get caught on things and ripped out if you don't use it. So that's why we want the BIQ board. Because one, it moves the fan, so the fan sits over the CB1 module once it's in. And also once it's together, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show you this properly without having it screwed down. But these should be 3 holes that line up there, yeah. So once you've got that board on, you'll have the slots at the front, so you can see the USB and the SD card there. Maybe we can sandwich this together temporarily. And then I'll also have openings so I can get to the SP1 cable, the USB sockets, the Ethernet, and the HDMI, and the second SD card slot. As well as, have a bit of room here at the back, because, you've got to put the wires in now. The frame, this is so open because the frame goes in there and I'm not going to have much room. So I'm going to have to partially wire it up before I put it into the printer. So I'm probably going to mount this to that and start with the wiring as well. But yeah, it's going to open up a whole new world of things I will be able to do with the printer, even though at the end of the day it's all going to be printing. It should hopefully make my printing less painful and a lot easier to tweak and calibrate. Now, another tool I've gotten, let's get this board back in here. And I've just got some bunch of M3, M2, M3, M4, M5 screw kit. So hopefully, be able to use those as well as the original screws to mount it all in. But I'm basically covered if I need to be. And then the drivers will plug into that. Just to repeat myself. But one other thing I decided to get to is this is about $40 off Amazon. It is a ferrule crimper. And you've probably seen wire crimpers before. Have a nice little box like this. Just plastic, but it still feels nice and quality. And what you get is one of these. And if you open it up, you'll see that hole opens up there and then closes. And basically you feed your pins into there with the wire in it, you crimp them down, and because this thing comes with, remove this tray out, and be careful here, but you come with a whole bunch of connections and pins there. So it'd be like, do a demo here because I can spare one. But you get the pin, you put it in like so, and then with your wire in there, you crimp it, and then it gets a nice crimp pattern, as well as it does it hexagonal. A lot of these ones, the cheaper ones, are square, but this is 6-sided. So you end up with more of a round, even though it's a hexagon connection. And that is now basically useless. Now, the reason I wanted to do the pins is because there's a problem with Creality and what they do with their boards and stuff is with the wiring. A lot of their wiring, they have wires that are twisted, and instead of having a connection on the end like these plugs, and you can also do, it's also got these little cylinders too, so you can actually just connect wires to solderless wire connections, little metal cylinders. But yeah, with the Creality Ender 3 boards, some of their wires, including like power wires, the wire is just twisted and then tinned with solder. Now, it's a lazy way of having like a pin to put it in because it's also very dangerous. Now, the reason it's dangerous is because electronics gets hot. Solder melts when it gets hot. So your wires in there when they're tinned, there's a chance that, well, it's very rare. I mean, I've had mine for a couple of years now and not caught fire. But it's just another safety measure. It's like, while I'm doing it, I might as well do it properly. Because all my original connections are basically all tinned wires, the original hot and stuff. The Sprite Pro came with actual plugs, like these ones. I don't know where to put the bloody tray for this thing. Yeah, when you put something down right in front of you, oh, there it is, underneath the actual thing. So I can get this back in. So, yeah. So a lot of the cables, especially with the Sprite Pro, the hot end, which is the main thing, as well as the motors, they have plugs on them that hopefully, like I said, will fit straight into the board without me having to reuse the plugs that are provided. But I believe that I've still got power cables from the power supply that are tinned. So I'll cut them off, strip them, put some actual pins on the end, crimp them on, and then I don't have to worry about a potential fire hazard there. Even though, like the chances of there being an actual fire or being a fire hazard are low, it's one of those things, spend a little bit more, play it safe. It's better than waking up in the middle of the night to find my printer on fire. Anyway, man, I'm aware of the problem and know it can be avoided. So that will fix that. That'll be one less thing concerned. Plus, I'll have a better quality connection. Plus, I've probably got a few other things around the house that I could use this with. Like the speaker system on my surround sound, for example. That's another one. Whereas all the wires, Logitech surround sound, but all the wires for the speakers are just basically twisted copper wire as they come. So I'll put some pins on that to make it easier to plug them in and unplug them when I need to. Just makes everything nice and neater. So yeah, I have a bit of work ahead of me because I need to, obviously, flip the printer upside down, unplug everything, do some cutting and crimping. Not the manual for the comes with the crimper. Like I said, that was about $40 on eBay. It's a Sumline Farrell. Farrell crimper. I said that's the hex one. Most of them are four-sided, so you get a square plug when you crimp it. And that's going to make my life so much easier for so many different projects, including the wiring for the suit. That this is the whole reason I'm doing this massive upgrade of the printer. Why I haven't just settled for good enough prints, because my goal is I want to print some rather professional looking cosplay armor, specifically the Mark V Mjolnir, I think it's pronounced, but the Mark V armor from Halo Combat Evolved, or a version thereof it. Or a version of it, not thereof it. So yeah, that's basically it. I can't really talk about how good it is until I've given it a try. I've only ever seen positive things about this, that it is a massive upgrade over the stock board. The stock board will get the job done. Unfortunately, I don't have a print where the camera is going to show the zebra striping that I'm talking about. Just a second. Maybe this will show it up. Okay. Yeah, it's not so bad in here, but you can still see some diagonal lines. But yeah, a set of drawers I was making for Gizmo using silk. And maybe you'll be able to see. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. Some of the diagonal lines. I don't think it's going to show up on this. I don't know. But this also has, had a problem with, you can see that colour difference there. That's because the corner's lifted. That's the warping I spoke about. And it varies depending on the model, the filament. I think I needed to run that filament a little bit cooler. But yeah, that's a rainbow from Creality PLA that Gizzy bought. So I'm probably going to print that thing again because I want to make sure the drawers and everything fit in it properly for her. So yeah, all I can say is, yeah, reasonably priced. I wish I'd got one of these like a year or so ago. But I was thinking, well, yeah, there was other things like the said kit, the hot end, a whole bunch of stuff that sort of needed to be priority. That if they worked, it would help. But this should take it to the next level. It should be the last upgrade I do to this printer as well. But it basically brings my printer up to modern day specs, because even though I bought, I think, the Ender 3 Max in 2022, the actual technology in it is like from 2012. It's like over a decade old, almost 12 years old technology. Even though the motherboard's not a 12-year-old motherboard, they've had, it's the 4.2.2 where they originally had a 1.0, and there's a 4.2.7 board that they have as well. But this is going to add a lot of functions that brand new, more expensive modern day printers have. And yeah, I guess it's going to be the difference between my printer being originally a $500 printer to, with all the upgrades I've done in this, that it should be the equivalent of a $1,000 printer now. And what I've paid is probably closer to a $1,000 printer now. I'm debating at the moment whether to get another FDM printer, which is a filament printer, the ones that we feed the spools of filament into, or getting a cheap resin printer, because I don't have a resin printer and I would like another printer, but I was thinking, do I want another FDM for printing smaller parts while I'm printing bigger stuff on the N3 Max? Because now I quite literally have enough parts to build another printer except for the frame. If I had a frame, like I've got multiple lead screws now from when I did the Dual Z upgrade kit. I've got the original Ender 3 screw that came with the kit that was too small for the Max. I have a spare stepper motor. I'm going to have another motherboard after I take it out of the Max. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out for a broken Ender 3 Max. And anybody out there who knows me personally, keep an eye out. If you see somewhere that somebody's getting rid of a very cheap, because that's the thing too, is it's got to be like next to nothing, because if I'm going to end up paying $100 like some of the ones I've seen, basic Ender 3s that I've seen on Facebook Marketplace, I might as well just go buy a brand new Ender 3. If I'm buying it second hand, something for parts is the kind of printer I'll be looking at. So feel free to hit me up and let me know if you come across something like that. As long as the price is reasonable, I'll consider it. But yeah, I literally now have enough parts to build a second printer, except for basically having a frame. Like, yeah, that's why I want a broken printer, so to speak. As long as the hot bed is, the print bed is okay, because that's about the only thing I don't have a spare one of. The frame and the print bed, but I have basically everything else, because I've also got the hot end carriage from the Ender 3 Max, and I would like to keep using that, because even though it's a Bowden tube fed system, it's still cooling fans, and it prints great when it's all up and running fine. I didn't have to get the Sprite Pro. I just got sick and tired of fucking around with feeding the filament in through tubes. So yeah, watch this space. I do have review videos coming. I have been capturing a lot of footage. I captured so much footage when it came to installing that goddamn Sprite Pro. I've got one upgrade. I've got one update I've got with that is, if I've probably misplaced it. Yeah, I don't know where I've put it. Oh no, here it is, right here. I'm organised. There's my printer junk pile is building up behind me. I need to sort through all that. It's like, as I've been upgrading things, I've been dumping them on there, and but yeah, I was having problems with the Sprite Pro with the CR Touch not working with it, because it's meant to have a short cable that plugs from the CR Touch straight into the Sprite, and then the Sprite cable goes to the board. Everything on it was working except for the actual probing. If you run tests and everything, probe goes in and out. But if you go to level the bed and home, the carriage, the probe doesn't deploy. Or if it does, you hit it and nothing happens. And so what I had to do was take the original longer cable that comes with the probe, and I've had to bypass the ribbon cable, which defeats the whole purpose of having the ribbon cable, to make it neater. I plug that into the board directly, and it works as intended. So hopefully this new board as well will allow me to plug, will make the Sprite Pro, oh sorry, not the Sprite Pro, yeah, well, yeah, the Sprite Pro and the CR Touch work properly. But I got into Creality support, and oh my god, what a nightmare that was. I won't show you the emails, but it's quite clearly I was speaking to somebody who is Chinese, doesn't understand English, and is using Google Translate to speak to me. Understandable being a Chinese company, but if you're working on an international level, it's probably good if you're going to have international customer support to have somebody who is fluent in English to speak to we English people. Because I even uploaded video of what the issue, showing exactly what was happening. Uploaded 2 videos actually. They were like, blah, 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 blah. Like, dude, did you even watch the video? It's like, I really felt, I always felt like, am I speaking Chinese? Except I was like, oh wait, I actually am speaking to somebody who is Chinese. They kept on blaming things like, oh, update your firmware, this and that. And it was like, dude, the problem is either with your hardware, or be it the board, or be it the Sprite Pro, or the CR Touch. But there's something wrong with the Sprite Pro, especially when you go look online. There are so many stories of people that have the same situation where the Touch Pro does not work. Even though, like they say, oh, it supports the Ender 3 Max. It's one of the few products Creality brings out that has support for the Ender 3 Max. It's a very niche printer, even though technically it's like all the other Ender 3s, just bigger. But there's things like normally with the original carriage, the Pro sits on the opposite side. So you can't just go get firmware from another printer and put it in and expect it to work. You've got to tell the firmware, okay, this is the offset, this is where my probe is. Long story short, they sent me out a new cable kit. So I've got a brand new Sprite Pro cable. You can see out the front here, this little colour cable. That's the one that goes from the probe into the Sprite directly. So we shall see. But hey, it won't resolve the problem. I knew they weren't going to resolve the problem because it existed for 2 years. And Creality, unfortunately, okay, they make good budget products, but they are what you call a hobbyist computer, where somebody on Reddit joked to me that when I talked about finally being able to get good prints, they were like, yeah, I want the hobby to be the printing, not the printer, because that's what it feels like is if you get a Creality printer, maybe some of their newer ones that are a bit more professional looking, like the K1 and stuff that comes in its own enclosure. But the Ender 3s, it's a lottery. You might get one and it worked perfectly, but you're probably going to have to do a lot of damn work because of where they do cut corners. And Creality are notorious for when they release a product, they're like, that's it, we're done. Here's the firmware, here's the product, see you later. They don't update their firmware. So if you were to buy an Ender 3 Max, for example, today, yes, if you could find a brand new one, because they've got the Max Neo out now, they've moved on, even though they're almost identical machines, hardware-wise. You'll find the firmware for the Ender 3 Max hasn't been updated since the first one was released. In that time, the firmware that runs on it, the Marlin software, Marlin firmware, there's extra features and things that have been added to it, like linear advance, input shaping, stuff like that you will not get in the official Creality one. Even the Sprite Pro, I had an issue where that wasn't working because I was like, what's going on here? And it was because linear advance was enabled in my custom version of Marlin. Excuse me, getting tongue-tied. Let's refresh my mouth a bit. And so, yeah, I was getting this weird problem with the rounded corners on prints with seams down them. And it turned out it was a linear advance. And I worked that out because I was like, what's the difference? Because when I used the Creality firmware for the Sprite Pro for my printer, the official one, it started off, it was in Chinese. So you have to find how to navigate through this Chinese menu to find where you select the language. That threw me off because even the official firmware from the printer, The original firmware that comes with the printer was in English. They have sort of like a Chinese version, English version, international version, that sort of stuff. However, with the Sprite Pro, there is only one version, and it's a multi-language one that defaults to Chinese. So I went in, adjusted the knob, set it to English, and great, got English. But at random, it would revert back to Chinese. So I was like, oh, what a pain in the ass. So I went back to my own custom firmware. I just using that to get it up and running. And then, yeah, it was scratching my head, and it turns out, well, in the Sprite Pro firmware that Creality has, they do not have linear advance and input shaping enabled. Whereas the example configs that Marlin provide for, because Marlin has a big repository of different printer configurations to make life easy for people to get their machine set up if they want to do their custom firmware. By default, that has linear advance enabled. And while it didn't seem to impact the original Ender 3 Max hot end and carriage, apparently the Sprite Pro did not like those settings, so I've had to go in, I disabled linear advance, bam, my prints are now working as good as they were with the Creality ones, and I've since got linear advance working by running it's called Ellis's linear advance calibration test or something. If you look up Ellis, you should be able to find it, and it just does a print with corners, and you pick the corner setting that is the sharpest, cleanest, and then you make your settings in Marlin match that. I've got to do some more work when it comes to the input shaping though. But yeah, we'll be waiting to see how it all goes with this, because this apparently should add a lot of functionality to the printer. And one of the things is, I've got the old Microsoft Studio life cam, or whatever it is, the old 720p webcam I used to use for my videos, sitting around. So I'm going to plug that in, but I'm going to put it to the side of the printer, because the problem as well with the Sprite Pro is because the cooling fan comes down at an angle from the front there, where the Ender 3 Maxes, the fans come from the sides. You've got a nice clear view of that nozzle in the bed where it's printing. The bloody Sprite Pro, the cooler being at the front, it blocks your bloody view. So it's really hard to see how those layers are going down. Sometimes you get to wait for the print to go through till the print head's away and you can actually see the layer lines in there. And it gets worse if you've got something fairly small that the Sprite Pro doesn't move away from. So hopefully I can set the webcam up onto the side and I can look at the computer and see from the side easily, because especially once I got it back in the enclosure. On the enclosure, I cannot view it from the side because it's just solid black. There is no windows, nothing in the way, and even then the window that's on the front of it is a bit warped. It's not clear. It's good enough to see what's going on in there, but you will not see detail and stuff like that. But yeah, watch this space for the Sprite Pro review video. Honestly, I don't know how long that's going to be. And the same with this one. I'm going to get this installed, up and running. I'll film stuff as I go along, and then it's a matter of getting the time to sit down and edit all this stuff together, and do a proper review of it all, and hopefully show you the benefits of doing a system like this. But like I said, the main benefit is modernization, basically putting a computer in my printer so I can remote access it. I can do the bed leveling, not the bed leveling, the gantry leveling with the Dual Z. Don't have to worry about, is my gantry going up and it's out of sync now, and then I've got to sit there with a feeler gauge and go around and re-level it. And even though, since I've done all my upgrading, I don't have to level it as much as I used to. The silicon mounts, if you've got springs on your 3D printer, get silicon mounts, because my bed with the normal springs and knobs, not just between prints was it becoming unlevel, it was unleveling during prints. Have a big long print and it gets up, and your print gets ruined because the nozzle hits, because it's starting to droop just by a millimeter or two, and it's not getting that clearance to get over the model. Silicon mounts fix that for me, and it's like $8 for a set of them, and you get 2 sets. You basically get 8 mounts as well, but I'll never go back to springs again. And I had the good springs as you go on, where everybody's like, the springs are great. Even those red bloody metal knobs, everybody's like, get the red metal knobs. And it's like, mate, they spin so easily. They came off loose worse than the stock plastic knobs. So if you have a problem with your bed unleveling during prints, on a FDM printer, specifically one that has the turning knobs, and you've got to manually level the bed. Definitely recommend the silicon mounts yeah, because now I can do a print finishes. I can put another print on, and another print, and another print, and it should hopefully be even better with this system. But as always, time will tell. So yeah, I'm excited because once I've got this done, I'm going to be able to truly focus properly on getting actual printing done, and I should hopefully be able to show you things I'm doing, because you don't want to see caddies of drawers or desk organisers. We want to see gaming armour and stuff like that. I'm also going to print up, hopefully, the Nerf gun. You can see there. Nerf gun sitting there behind me. I got another one in the cupboard still in the box. As a backup. But yeah, I'm probably going to start modifying that with some 3D prints as well. Like the barrel, for example. It's a big Nerf gun hole like that, where you want it smaller, like an actual rifle barrel. So I'll probably make a thicker barrel. It won't be working as a Nerf gun anymore, because it's going to be a prop. So how it looks is what is going to matter there. But yeah, so many things I've got to do. Let's hopefully, I'm alive by the time I finish this. I'll get it done while I'm alive. But yeah, the other thing is watch this space too, because as I said, I am considering possibly getting another printer. I was thinking about getting a VR helmet, but at the moment I could go out and buy a Quest 2, but they're already starting to drop support in new games for the Quest 2. They're bringing out new games that have functions that the Quest 3 can do, but the Quest 2 cannot. And the Pico 4 is like between the Quest 2 and the Quest 3, both in terms of hardware and price range. But there is also rumours coming out that there is a new Pico and a new Quest headset coming out. So I have this bad habit of buying technology, and a week later something new comes out. So I'm sort of like, okay, I've heard the whispers on the wind. Let's wait and see. So 3D printer is to begin with. So yeah, if you see this, let me know below. Should I get another filament printer, a smaller one, cheaper one, for doing small prints and parts, while the big printer is doing bigger stuff? Or should I get a resin printer? But the thing is, with the resin printer, I will have to get some more cash together, because I'll also need a wash and curing station and stuff like that. Because I do not want to go through the same shit I went with this printer here with manual stuff. The more I can automate things, the better as well. And also, yeah, these drivers, before we go, they're meant to be better than what you will get on the stock Creality board. That's why I'm hoping that these things here will fix that zebra striping issue I have. But as I also showed you, there are a sort of a higher grade, I believe, driver, these ones here, that will also fit the board. So I can still potentially upgrade this thing. Hell, if I wanted to, I could actually put a Raspberry Pi in it, get an 8 gig one. Because I thought about that. Could you double a printer as a computer? Because if you can use a Raspberry Pi as a computer, so why can't you use a Raspberry Pi and a printer as a computer? I mean, that's what it is. Well, it is a computer, but desktop. Probably have to put Linux or something on it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Hell, do you want to see a live stream of me building it, or should I just do the same with the Sprite Pro, capture footage and hopefully edit something together that looks a bit more professional? Oh, well, anyway, we're going to end it there. Been going long enough. Thank you very much for watching, if you did watch it. Yep, end of one of my crappy live unboxing videos. But now you can see at least what you get for your money's worth. Even though I haven't used it yet, I'm going to say it is definitely seems to be worth the consideration, because I honestly, I've not seen anything negative about these boards and stuff like that. And again, if you wanted to add Clipper and a Raspberry Pi to your system, it's a lot cheaper to get this $30-40 CV1 module than it is to spend $80 to $100 plus, like $130 to get a Raspberry Pi 4, and there's no guarantee that you can even get a Raspberry Pi. So this is a good solution for that. All in one kit. You can basically get a whole new printer board, a CV1 module, drivers for what it would cost you to buy a Raspberry Pi 4 8GB model on its own. That's one way of looking at it. All right, well, let's wrap it up there. You all take care. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Hopefully, the next video will be something a bit more than me just unboxing shit. I'll have a proper review of something. We'll see. I'm trying to work out what's going on with my games and crashing when I try to live stream them. I think I know what the problem is, and I think I've sort of got it eradicated. But yeah, might do a video on that too, because maybe other people are having the same problem and they don't realise what that problem is. And it turns out, I've got a feeling it's a particular app that I like to use. But yeah, maybe that could be the next video. We'll see. We know what I'm like. I'm all over the place with this shit. That's it. I'm not your usual YouTuber. I just like sharing stuff and talking to you. So, all right. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you on the next video. Wrap it out.